Hey everyone, it's your girl Chaos Eve, and with me I have my lovely co-host Miss Talita,
Hi.
and our special guest today on S&M is Berserker 5150 or 5150 515.
We just call him Zerka.
And just call him Berserker.
It's 50.
And apparently Zerka wanted to talk about some very specific things tonight, having him on. He's more prepared than we normally ever are.
Yes, and that worries me.
It does worry me as well.
That's why I'm starting drinking now.
Well, it's just I can remember a lot of
I
things.
have mine.
It's just
You
specific
do.
names I have issues with, so I have to write certain stuff down or pull up tabs and make sure I have the names and dates right because I'm dyslexic.
So am I.
Did Tally dye her hair? She dyed it purple a while back, but that's been a while.
Yeah, it had purple in there. You can see there it's a bit purple. But no, I haven't lately.
No, not anything recent.
Race, I was on Golden Age
I think
with purple hair.
Talita,
Going, look, it's
Talita,
purple.
Talita. I think he meant since then. Like it
No.
looked darker because of the lighting.
Oh yeah, it's because I've moved my where I normally sit. There you go.
Tally has rearranged her arrangements, and honestly, I like her in her more comfortable area. So
Yeah, well, right now I'm sitting on the air mattress that I sleep on, which is right in the middle of my living room. And I've got to say, my living room does seem bigger with the couch pushed up against the wall instead of here.
Ray says it looks fiery red. Well, don't tell Assassin; he'll be chasing her around everywhere. It's the light rays.
You know what Assassin said not that long ago, that I looked like a redhead. It's quite amusing.
We're getting echo again.
Sorry, it's me. I'm gonna have to use my goddamn credit card to buy a new headset, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to use my credit card to buy a new headset.
I was just going to say, I don't know. It's because it never does this more on Discord. I never get any feedback from you. So I'm not sure if it's your volume or whatever.
No, it's definitely my headset. I'm telling you, it's my headset.
That's weird.
I'm telling you because every so often I'll move that, and when I get echo, I echo, I'm also I can't hear out of one side at the same time.
So
it really messes it up.
So it's like normal then. Oh, that's bad.
Yeah.
I mean, you're echoing. Real bad.
How's that?
Test.
Still there.
It made it worse.
Yeah, it's this headset, I'm telling you. How is that?
Test. That's a little better. There's still a little bit of echo, but it's fine.
I can't get it any better than that.
That's fine. Anyway, so who do we have in chat today? I see Rick. I see Lion. I see Pat.
We have Kefki.
I see Kefki. I see Hikaru. I see Ryan Walters. I see Skull. And I think that's everybody. But I see Raziel. And Happy Dude.
Did we say Race?
Yeah, I said Race. We've been speaking to Race, so I hope we noticed Race.
Hello, everyone.
So a lot of y'all will be happy to know Eve has been making a lot of headway with the OBS setup for S&M. So hopefully next week, maybe, I don't know, we'll see.
We're like this close.
What is this week, Himosabi? I got a lot of work to do, but I at least have a way to go with it. So Chaos Tally. Hi, Pat.
Hi, Pat.
My goodness.
Apparently, he's just going down saying everyone's names.
Yeah. So, Berserker
Aye.
had something very specific he wanted to talk about today.
Well, a few broad topics.
Well, okay.
Okay, do you want to just jump into them?
Well, the most recent one I've already told Eve, and she did not seem as enthusiastic as I am. But recently, there was a development in the Charles Manson situation.
Okay.
A reporter spent 20 years researching it and found some pretty interesting tidbits of information. It's from Joe Rogan Experience number 1459 with Tom O'Neill, the fellow's name. He proved without a shadow of a doubt that the entire trial was a sham. It was rigged from the beginning, including planting former prosecutors on the defense team that would, aim them in the direction of the conviction. And he found out things that were covered up by the LAPD that make it an even more intriguing mystery.
So basically, the cops made it so that he could easily win an appeal and go free, despite the fact that he is an evil individual that did all these awful things.
No, they made it to where he could never win anything, is what I'm saying.
Oh. But in saying that, if all this came out and people found out about it, and he went to an appeal and it's like, look, all of this has come out.
Yeah.
If he wasn't dead, that he could have easily gone, look, all of this has gone out. Clearly it was rigged and everything would have been thrown out.
Well.
And he would have been released.
That's where it gets interesting.
Go on.
Well, for starters, this Tom O'Neill fellow was actually able to tie Charles Manson, his federal parole officer, and the free medical clinic he went to for all of his parole meetings and to get his girls abortions and STD checks, was actually a front used for LSD experiments ran by the CIA during MKUltra.
Well, we know beyond reasonable doubt he was having sex with these young girls. Like, the girls admitted it. But they were like, no, we don't want to press charges against him because they thought he was the Messiah. So there's no doubt that he was statutory raping underage girls.
Well, he's also pimping them out. But you skipped over the whole part of he's been connected to MKUltra and the CIA.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. I don't know what MKUltra is.
Oh, can I explain this part? Because I actually know this part. Okay. So MKUltra was a secret government project during the Cold War, or was it before the Cold War?
It started in the 40s, but that was called Blue Book. It was part of Operation Blue Book, and then it was Artichoke.
Well, the Cold War pretty much started straight after the World War.
It was it was the next chapter in an ongoing attempt to control humans' minds, basically. Create sleeper agents that didn't know they were sleeper agents, planting subliminal messaging into people's brains.
I know they were doing that with like LSD and all that sort of thing as well.
That's MKUltra.
I did not know this.
It's also tied to, you remember the stupid movie and the story, The Men Who Stare at Goats?
Mm-hmm.
That was part of MKUltra too. That was just the more, to put it bluntly,
silly version.
Yes. The interesting part is one of the people who ran that clinic actually was a therapist for Jack Ruby, the man who shot Lee Harvey Oswald. And one of the famous stories about that is when the cops were arresting Jack Ruby, he straight up did not know why he was there or why he just shot a man. Like, he had complete amnesia, didn't know what he was doing. And so the popular theory with that line is he was a part of MKUltra. He was the success, quote unquote.
So what? He was a part of MKUltra, and the song by the Beatles, which song was it?
Helter Skelter.
That one was his trigger.
Well, with Manson in his later years, he actually told fellow inmates in prison when he would see him on the yard and stuff that Helter Skelter was total bullshit, that he didn't believe it at all. So my idea and insight onto it is if Manson was working with the CIA with LSD and also to help cripple the Black Panthers, which was a popular thing at that time in that particular part of California, trying to make all these crimes look like blacks did it to start a race war.
Something I will say about the Black Panthers is they originally started out as an armed group that were just like, no, we are American citizens. We have the right to bear arms. You can't make laws to prevent us from bearing arms just because of our race. And they were really pushing that whole thing.
Along with the NRA, who worked with them. The National Rifle Association did the exact same thing, which is hilarious when people call it racist today.
Oh, yeah, I know. But that's what they started off as, and then they started escalating and doing awful, borderline terrorist acts. One of
the more interesting things that doesn't deal with conspiracy is one of the victims. Jesus, that echo.
Sorry, there's nothing I can do about it.
It just completely derailed my train of thought. Sorry. One of they were all hanging out at one of the other victims' houses trying to watch cable because the guy was rich and just got cable TV in LA when there was a power surge. So he calls his lawyer's son, who is an electrician, like, hey, can you come check it? And he's like, no, bro, I'm trying to get laid. I'll check it later. Well, the next night they were murdered at Sharon Tate's house. When the electrician, who was the guy's lawyer's son, went to his house to get a suit for him to be buried in, he's like, I'm going to go check the wires, see what the power surge was about. 3 or 4
Well, this
wires.
Was during the 60s and the 70s, wasn't it? There were a lot of power surges during that time in America.
Well, it's just an LA thing, too. There's always blackouts and shit. When the guy checked the wires, 3 or 4 were deliberately cut in the same manner the wires at the La Bianca house were cut, which is the second killings done by the Manson family. The exact same manner, except this time the lights went completely out. They didn't ramp all the way up and then get dim again. Which, if you think about it, if you're trying to stealthily kill people in an entire house, if the lights get really, really bright and then dim back down, you're already running away. You're not taking a second chance.
Well, in saying that, if power outage were a common thing in LA, then if your power surged and your lights just went out, you're just thinking, oh, just a surge. Mm-hmm. It'll come back on. And then suddenly you're dead.
Yeah, but this time the lights went really, really bright and then dimmed back down to normal. Because the guy, whoever was cut the wires, only cut 3 out of 4. He would have cut all 4, then the lights would have been killed. And so that kind of breaks down the prosecutor's case of, oh, it was a random killing. No, it wasn't, because if it was random, then this guy's house, who was a victim, with all the victims there, the wires wouldn't have been cut. And the same way they are later. Literally a night later.
It disgusts me that they killed all these innocent people. What was it, in the Catherine Tate house? No, not Catherine Tate. Sharon Tate. How many people was it in her house? Like 5 people, including her, and she was very pregnant at the time.
Yep.
And then they wrote stuff about die pigs and all this sort of thing on the walls in the victim's blood.
That is dived into later a lot more. Including, y'all should be familiar with Roman Polanski, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a videotape of him forcing Sharon Tate to have sex with multiple people that the LAPD took from the house and put back after watching and did absolutely fuck all with it afterwards.
I mean, that's the thing, is we can say that, but until somebody has actually presented this tape as evidence, then
it was returned to Roman Polanski's possession. You can guarantee that fucker got rid of that shit.
Of course he did. And like I said, it's hearsay at that point. It's not admissible in court.
Yeah.
The problem with a lot of these conspiracy theories, even though you said like the wires being cut at the house, that is definitely something extremely suspicious. But it's much like, the Epstein case. We can prove that it's very heavily suspicious and that he we can definitely say scientifically that he didn't kill himself. But the problems with
Well,
that is,
yeah, because no one has
Hang on,
two
hang on,
breaks in
hang
their
on.
neck from a
Allie.
no drop hanging.
hang on, let me finish. The problem is we can have all of the circumstantial evidence piled up, but we can't prove it. It's not enough to be able to be proven in a court of law.
That's this guy's point. Like, you have all this shit, even the evidence they allegedly had against the actual family itself in these murders. First of all, they don't know who actually killed them because Tex Watson admitted to it, and then one of the girls admitted to it later. So you have multiple people going, oh, no, I killed her while so-and-so held her down. That's conflicting. You can't exactly prove who did it. First of all, they can't actually tie the family to the murders. That was a part of
Well,
the guy's point.
there were handprints and all of that sort of thing, and
It was a party house, is what you can argue.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you could argue it's a party house, but why would these celebrities have these cultists in any of their parties?
Because Charles Manson had been to that house multiple times when the previous owner had it, who was a record producer, and also he was best friends with the person who lived next to them. So he'd been to that house multiple times on different occasions. Not when Tate and Polanski lived there, but he had been there several times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the plot thickens, as so they say.
Yeah, but like I said, it's just the problem with circumstantial evidence is it's usually used as a jumping off point to be able to say, okay, we need to dig deeper. We need to find more information, which is what the police do as like justification for doing things like acquiring a warrant to search a location, things like that.
In saying that, if you have mountains and mountains and mountains of circumstantial evidence,
it's still not enough to stick.
Yep.
It just takes one piece of evidence that is inadmissible.
There's so trying to remember, my buddy is a sheriff in somewhere here in Tennessee. Oh, that's a bit bad.
Sorry, I'm hearing it too. How's that?
Test. It might be Zerker.
It shouldn't be me because I have earphones in, and I'm hearing it coming from Polly.
Yeah, but I'm hearing it a lot less from Tally. Wait, test. Okay, it's gone now. Anywho, so my buddy is a deputy at the sheriff's department somewhere here in Tennessee, and a big part of the way he says they're allowed to investigate is like say they pull somebody over.
Yeah.
There's a difference between probable cause and reasonable suspicion.
Okay.
Reasonable suspicion is he pulls somebody over, and I've already threatened to do that. Pat, she said she's going to buy a new one herself.
Yeah, I'll have to get my credit card out and order one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to do that. I don't want it. That's not what the credit card's for.
We'll worry about that after stream, Tally. Won't worry about money stuff on stream. So, like I said, there's a difference between reasonable suspicion and probable cause. Reasonable suspicion is you pull somebody over and they're acting weird, like you ask them for, hey, you were speeding or whatever. Can I see your driver's license? This is why they tell you that even if if a police officer stops you, even if you haven't done anything wrong to deserve to be stopped, cooperate with the police, because by not doing so,
it's less of a headache.
You provide them with what they call reasonable suspicion, which makes them want to look deeper. They're going, okay, well, all I've done is ask you to see your driver's license. Yeah, you don't have to show me your driver's license, but when you don't want to show me your driver's license, it makes me think you have something to hide.
Well, here in the UK, if you are stopped walking down the street, you don't have to answer any questions by the police. You don't even have to give them your name. If you are driving, however, and they pull you over, again, you don't have to speak to them. You don't have to answer any of their questions, but you have to tell them who you are. So you don't actually have to speak to them. You just have to give them your ID, your driving license.
Well, in certain places in the States, they actually had to make laws where, like, you have to tell me who you are. One of the big reasons was the mob, and another one's outlaw motorcycle clubs. Like the Hells Angels, for example, it's in their bylaws that you cannot talk to law enforcement under any circumstance whatsoever. Your mom could have fallen after having a heart attack and is dying in the fucking living room floor. You can't call the paramedics to come get her because you have to call the dispatch to get to them. You have to get someone else to do it. And so they're like, okay, now we have to make these laws where you have to tell us things. Even then, people don't listen.
Yeah. And so that's the difference between, like, you know, probable cause is enough to look deeper.
Reasonable suspicion is like they pull you over and they can smell weed.
Sorry, yes. Reasonable suspicion is enough to look deeper. Probable cause is, okay, you've done something that makes me say, okay, you know, I can reasonably say that we've stepped it up a level.
So the odor of marijuana, the odor of alcohol, say someone has 2 cell phones.
The difference between pulling somebody over and seeing them acting funny is you know, pulling them over and seeing them acting a little slurred or whatever might be enough to be able to ask them a few questions, find out if they're drunk. If you pull them over and happen to glance in the back seat as you're walking up to the front window and see that there's 3 empty beer bottles sitting back there, that's probable cause. You know, there's a difference between something that's like, okay, I think, and okay, I know there's something going on here.
Here in the UK, the police, it was only like 2 or 3 years ago, the head guy of the police services here in the UK actually had to put out a PDF, like a printable, a thing that you can print off, to say that people like that have cameras, if they are standing on public property, they are allowed to take pictures of anything they can see from public property.
Certain states and certain cities have laws against that.
Well, here they don't, because if it's within the view of the public, then anyone can see it. And if it's one of those situations, you are allowed to take pictures of anything you can see from like a public sidewalk.
I need to stop you there for a moment, Callie.
Here in the UK, up until then, like a lot of the police were stopping people from doing that and threatening to arrest them. So the top guy with the police was like, no, this is perfectly legal. You can't just arrest people for taking pictures of the police station.
I need to interrupt your thought process there for a second.
No, I'm done. Go for it.
Okay. Thank you, Yukio of Sakudo, for the $100 to the Tally Headphones Fund. Have fun, guys.
Thank you, darling.
I saw that coming. Thank you so much, Yuki.
You saw it coming. I did not.
That's why I was saying you complaining on stream. That's why I didn't want you to complain, because I knew he was going to do that.
I mean, well,
no, because I'm well prepared to use my credit card to buy a new headset. It's just like that's not what the credit card's for. The credit card is like, let's say it's like I've got no milk, or I've got no bread, or toilet paper, or I run out, or my electric goes out. That is what the credit card is for.
But yeah, so now you have to buy a headset, Tally.
Yes, now I do have to buy a headset.
Anywho, back to the topic at hand.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I completely forgot. One problem you get in the States with people recording is people like to run up as they're fucking recording. It's like get within a couple inches of a cop and not expecting them to pull a gun saying, get the fuck back. Which, if you look at all these videos, is what happens. Dude's resisting arrest. They have to take him down hard. All of a sudden, a bunch of people are running up. And next thing you know, they're staring down the barrel of a fucking Glock. They're like, oh, you can't do that. Well, actually, yes, they can. Because at that point, you're actively hindering the apprehension of suspect.
Well, they don't know who you are. Like, they don't know you're just coming up to film what's going on. For all they know, you could be running up to try and jump on them to prevent the arrest. So, yeah, obviously you're going to end up staring down the barrel of a gun if you charge towards the police trying to make an arrest. That's just common fucking sense. And if you don't have that level of common sense, you shouldn't be allowed to function in society on your own without your hand being held.
It's one of those things if you're already, oh, God damn it.
Sorry.
Just mute real quick or something. That might help.
Yeah, okay.
It's one of those things when if you're standing there and the cops like run and tackle somebody right next to you, yeah, sure, pull out your phone, film it. But if you're all the way over there and the guys, tackle them, don't run up and try to film it, because then you're just created a situation where the cop, all he sees is somebody running up. He doesn't know if you're one of his buddies. He doesn't know if you're, a looky-loo. He doesn't know who you are. But he has to assume that you mean to either intervene or cause some kind of harm, because if he doesn't, himself or a whole lot of other people could get hurt.
Well, it's one of those cases, if he assumes you are just there to record it and it turns out, no, you are this guy's buddy, and then you end up doing something.
You could either he wants to go home to his family at the end of the night too.
Yeah.
So
they do. Cops do just want to go home and see their families. They don't want to die on the job.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to suspect the worst.
One thing people either fail or unwilling to realize, especially on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, when all these videos hit the fucking media that are like a 5 little second clip of a cop throwing some distraction strikes to a dude's ribcage, is like, okay, first of all, that person had to escalate the situation to a degree 9 times out of 10, or 9.5 times out of 10, for the cops to react that way. Also, at any given moment, these men and women know that anyone can turn around and put a round in the back of their fucking head without them ever knowing it, because it does happen. So like we have all the time in the world on the internet to sit there and crucify these people for their millisecond reactions in situations you don't know what the hell is going to go down.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same reason as people who see these combat videos and like, oh my God, why did they shoot that little kid? It's like, well, if you look right beside him, he had a grenade and he was trying to run up and blow everyone up.
Well, it's like that. What was the name of that young lad that was playing with a toy gun that he took the orange tip off the end of? So no one knew it was a toy gun. And he was pointing it at people and people were running away. It's like, there's a guy in the park with a toy gun, with a gun. No one knew it was a toy. So the cops had to react as if it was a real gun. So when he was walking around with his trackie sagging and the cops just told him, get on the ground. And instead he goes to pull that gun out. They don't know it's not a real gun. For all they know, it's a real gun. But he goes to pull it out to aim it at them. So he gets shot. This is it. Stupidity is what gets people shot.
I mean, and 9 times out of 10, in those situations when they happen, the officer has to go through therapy because it hits them like, oh my God, I just shot a kid, or oh my God, I just shot someone who wasn't armed, and it actually messes with them mentally. That's another aspect of the job people don't take into account. It's the same with firefighters and paramedics. Like, these people deal with life or death, and sometimes one mistake or one split-second decision can scar you for the rest of your life.
And this is why I could never be a cop in America.
Yeah, well, I mean, and I can speak from having had personal experience on the receiving end of those kind of situations. Is the one where like you said, Tally, where a cop has to treat every situation like it is potentially exactly what is being reported, regardless of what they think might be the truth.
So always treat it as if it's potentially life threatening, especially if someone's saying a gun's involved. Even without.
Yeah. I mean, like, I had a situation where I was a teenage kid, probably about 13, maybe 14. I was really into my buddy had gotten these what do you call them? The kendo swords, where they're like the wooden swords. They're shaped almost exactly like an actual sword.
Oh, yeah, the training swords.
Right. And we'd gotten them at one of these martial arts supply stores, and we were just having a blast because they were something solid wood that we could crack against each other's swords, and it wouldn't hurt them or us. It was great. It was a lot of fun. Let us kind of just let loose and do whatever. So we're sitting there in the park playing with these wooden swords. And next thing I know, I have a police officer walking up to me, asking me to put the weapon down. And I'm like, okay. So he's like, hey, can I, see that? And he was like, all right. Well, he takes it from me. He's like, how does it come out? And I'm like, it doesn't. It's a wooden sword. And a boken, that's what it is. So it was one of those things that he goes, well, how does it come out? And I said, it doesn't. It's a wooden sword. And he's like, oh, okay. And he goes and talks to my mom for like 10 minutes or something. And then, when he was done, he just walked away. Apparently one of the other parents, rather than asking my mother or speaking to her about it, assumed that we had actual swords out there and were fighting and called the police.
Damn Karen.
Yeah, it was a Karen, basically.
Something I will say is everyone hates a nosy neighbor until your house gets burgled, and then they become your best friend.
Right. But even still, it's like the same situation there. They had the cop in that situation had to treat it like, okay, I have to investigate this and make sure this isn't an actual weapon being brought into this public park and being carted around, in another similar situation, we talk about people running up on people. I had a moment where I got pulled over one night. I just dropped my sister off to my mom because we'd met halfway because it was a really far drive out to my mom's house. So I dropped my sister off to my mom. I turned around and head back. Well, where I dropped her off was a gas station that had already closed for the night. So the police officer saw this, and all he saw was a young woman get out of my car and get into my mom's car. And then she went one way, I went the other. Well, he pulls me over and he's just like, hey, how you doing? Asked to see my driver's license and stuff. And, I explained the situation. Like, what? So you were back there at that gas station. What was going on? No, I was just dropping my sister off to my mom. It's like, oh, okay. Well, and he talked with me a little more, found that, was looking for that reasonable suspicion, didn't find it because there was nothing to be suspicious about. I was very honest about, where I was coming from, what I was doing out there, and, that I was going home now. And so he was like, okay, well, I'm just going to, run your driver's license real quick, make sure there's nothing outstanding, and then you'll be good to go. Because what it looked like to me was that it was possibly like a prostitution deal or something. And I was like, yeah, okay, fair enough. I see how that could look that way. So he goes back to his car. He's running my driver's license. Not 60 seconds goes by. A van pulls past me, parks in front of me. It's my mom. She had seen me get pulled over, turns around, comes back, hops out of her van and starts walking towards the police officer shouting, that's my child. That's my child. And I'm going, no. He's on his loudspeaker. He doesn't know what's going on. He just knows this crazy lady has just pulled up at a police stop. And yeah, Tally, we were giggling her ass off. Has pulled up at a police stop and is sitting here coming at him. And he's like, ma'am, you need to get back in your car. Get back in your car. And finally, he had to threaten to pull his weapon on her to make her get back in the car. And he comes up there and hands me a driver's license back. He's like, did you know this woman? And I was like, yes, that's my mother. I'm sorry. I'm really, really sorry. I'm so sad that I can't hear Tally over laughing.
I'm sorry. I can't ever not laugh at that story.
Go ahead and unmute.
That's hilarious.
I know.
That's the funniest thing ever.
I thought you called my sister a prostitute.
Well, I could see how it could look like a prostitute sort of thing. Like, they don't know. For all they know, you are dropping someone off after, like, meeting a prostitute, and then they're just going and meeting the next client. I could see how that could look like that.
Yeah.
I mean, also,
but damn, they did think your sister was a prostitute.
Also, it's literally in his job description to investigate. He was investigating.
He saw what he considered reasonable suspicion of, hey, this looks sus. Let me go look. So he went and pulled me over, asked me a few questions, did not find probable cause. And so he just went, okay, well, I'll let you go on your way. And then my mother decided to get involved. And I went over and I said, please explain to her that she cannot do that. That is not okay. That I had no idea who she was or what her intentions were, and I could have shot her. And I was like, yes, I am very aware of that. I am so, so sorry.
I mean, I had a similar situation. I was walking. So basically, the hangout thing when I played football was Wednesdays after practice, we'd walk to our coach's house because we'd hang out at his house until a church thing that I really didn't give a shit about. I was just hanging out to hang out. And so there's 15 mostly black men, young black males. Almost all of us are shirtless. Some of us are Mexican, a couple white kids. We all have backpacks and gym bags. And we're walking down the middle of the street in rich neighborhood. So naturally, someone who's not used to seeing, a group of young males, mostly half naked, walking down the street with bags, it's going to look a little suspicious. So the cop rolls past, he stops, rolls down his window, looks over at us and goes, "Oh hell, I know y'all. Y'all are fine." Goes to radio, was like, "No, it's just some football players walking to their coach's house," and drives off. I'm like, well, shit, that was the easiest. Like, because most of us were ready to run. Like, we saw cops, like, oh shit.
And that would have been the worst thing you could have done.
No, because there's a couple fat dudes with us. We would have easily outran them, and that cop would have hemmed them up. The rest of us.
Yeah, you don't have to run. You don't have to outrun the cop. You just have to outrun the slowest person in your group.
Oh yeah, that was my friend Marcos. He was like, we're 14, 15 years old. And he was already like 315 pounds. He's a great big old Mexican dude. Like, you're getting left behind. If there's zombies, you're getting eaten first. We're all gone.
Like, what the hell?
His
315 pounds at 14?
His mom made some bomb-ass Mexican food, all by scratch. No store-bought tortillas.
She did, and covered everything in lard.
Oof.
All right. Thank you, Yukio. We so appreciate your donation, sweetie. Yukio says he's got to go. He has to go to work.
Bye, Yuki. You know what? I have never had any issues with the police. Ever.
With the police?
Yeah, never. I've been pulled over while driving once. And I'm like this tiny little blonde thing. I just turn on the waterworks.
Oh yeah, you can do that.
I mean, where I grew up, the people I grew up around were all the rednecks and stuff. They were outlaws, people who did their own damn thing. And I grew up in like Section 8 housing with all the gangbangers, drug dealers. So naturally, when a cop shows up, two sides of me goes, "Oh shit." It's just a stupid little fear a lot of people have. Like, a cop can get behind you when you're driving and you're doing everything perfect, nothing out of place in the vehicle, you're 100% legal, and you still have that little bit of "oh shit."
Yeah, I do the same thing. I've gotten to the point where I'm actually a little paranoid about cops, especially you hear all these nightmare stories about being trans and stuff like that. And my legal name isn't actually Eve yet, so that's an issue.
That reminds me of something. Eve, you might know of this. Pat definitely should. You're both the right age, and Pat lives technically in the same damn state as I do. Go ahead.
Well, he lives right next to the border.
Well, Texarkana is the border of Texas and Arkansas, and part of it's in Louisiana.
Well, yeah, because half of the city is in Texas, the other half is in Arkansas.
Yeah, but if I remember the story correctly, my grandmother actually was pulled over by what people believe to be the blue light rapist back in the day.
Oh, wow.
Wait, what?
Mm-hmm. Basically, a guy running around pretending to be a police officer, and he would pull women over and rape them. But an actual cop car had passed with sirens on, and another one was coming. So whoever it was hopped in the car and dipped the fuck out. Which, it would have been a bad day for them anyways, because she was strapped on, more than certain of.
Akaro says, I remember a cop tried to stop me and start shit with me because I bought GTA 3. Well, like I said, your experiences are seem to be more extreme examples because you're Detroit. I mean, it's Detroit.
No, I have never been to Detroit.
Don't. It's like Fallout, but in real life.
Yeah. Like, that's not even meaning to be insulting and rude. It's just, it's not great as far as.
And it amazes me that Detroit was supposed to be one of the model cities of America.
Okay, do you know what Detroit's problem is? They gave us the insane clown posse. That's Detroit's fucking problem.
See, now I thought Detroit's problem was all of the industry for the car factories and all that sort of thing that started off in Detroit got moved overseas and out of Detroit. So all of the jobs left. So people
because all more of the jobs left, people started turning to criminal activities to against me.
Well, the people who couldn't afford to leave did, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, a couple years ago, they found a fucking tiger wandering some of the abandoned buildings and shit.
No, they didn't.
Yeah.
No.
And then Ryan Walter says, I've seen RoboCop. Detroit is no joke. I know.
And the funny thing is, Detroit's professional baseball team is the Detroit Tigers.
was this tiger the baseball team or football team or whoever? Was it their mascot?
It wasn't the football team because they're the Lions.
Hikaru wants to say, no, we do not fucking claim them. They are from back home, not Detroit. Who are we talking about?
ICP.
ICP.
The clown posse.
Well, you can claim Eminem. You always have Eminem.
You always have Eminem.
Yeah. Yeah. Who wants to claim that? Really?
Would be surprised.
Yeah, apparently only a tiger's only $500.
$5,000.
$5,000. Even still, that's cheap for a tiger.
No wonder Mike Tyson had like 6 of those motherfuckers in the 90s.
Right?
Shit, I'd be posing in my underwear jacked to shit with tigers too. Fuck.
Oh my God, no.
I just hope he never invited Charlie Sheen over, or else we might have a tiger vampire.
Maybe we could get Tally to pose in her underwear with some tigers.
No. Because
Yeah.
I do not have a death wish, and a tiger's head is like this.
Okay.
Like a tiger would legitimately be able to bite me in half.
They're not always
No.
mean. Because when I was little, I actually was in a cage with a mama tiger and bottle fed her cub. I was also like 3, so I had like 0 fucks.
You were 3 and you bottle fed a tiger cub?
Yeah. Well, actually, my mother was there and she was like watching from outside and shit. People were like, oh, it's fine, it's safe. I'm like, it's a tiger and shit.
It's
I try to pick.
safe.
In saying that, tigers, like mama tigers, they are very unlikely to go for keepers and small children.
Well, they're also
Because,
incredibly smart.
Well, yeah, they are. They are because they're carnivores. Of course they are. Most carnivores are highly intelligent. But she won't deem you a threat to her cub. Therefore, she doesn't care. And the keepers, that's where she gets her food. Now, tigers, they're smart enough to know you don't bite the hand that feeds you.
Well, sometimes, because I remember watching the show I Was Bitten with my grandma when it was on Netflix, and there was a lady who was at a party who was drunk and opened a fucking tiger cage and wandered in, and the fucking thing started to maul her. I'm like, well, now you're just dumb. You're drunk and dumb.
Mm. Well, first of all, you haven't built a rapport with that tiger.
And she turned around and like went to walk out when she saw the tiger, which is your biggest fucking mistake because their natural instinct is the moment you turn your back is to go for the spinal column.
Yeah. See, something you might find interesting is in India, when people are walking through what is essentially tiger country, they will wear masks on the back of their head because tigers will always go for prey that can't see them. So you always get attacked from behind. And the number of tiger attacks dropped dramatically in this one area where they started doing that thing with the masks on the back of their head, just because as far as the tiger's concerned, you can see it coming.
Yeah, they're incredibly smart like that.
Yeah, they are. They are ambush predators. If they think their prey can see them, they won't go for it.
But they aren't the best ambush predator because that probably would go to the grizzly bear because they don't give a fuck if you have a mask on the back of your head. You can be fucking the Terminator with a machine gun. Grizzly bear is still gonna fuck you up.
Yeah, especially if it's a mama bear with cubs.
Yeah, ask Hugh Glass about that one. By the way, Revenant is a great book. I highly suggest you read it.
What is a Revenant?
The Hugh Glass story, the Leo DiCaprio movie, where he gets mauled by a bear.
Oh,
I know what movie you're talking about. That was a good movie.
It's an even better book.
what were you showing me in this screenshot, Zerker? I forget.
Oh, I was just thinking, I can hit F11 and it goes full tab on the StreamYards tab, which normally doesn't happen.
Oh, okay. Anyway, I interrupted.
Yeah, what else was it that you wanted to cover?
Oh, we can go serial killers, cults, the ghosts, demons, conspiracy theories, history. I'm down for it all.
Pokemon.
Yeah, we can do that too. Fun fact, for those who don't know, you can catch Pikachu at the beginning of the game if you're willing to spend a couple hours trying to find the little bastard.
Kefki always loves it when I do the Pikachu.
In the Viridian Forest, you can actually catch him, and it makes, especially if you're me and you use Charmander, it makes fighting Misty's ass so much easier. Fuck that core. God damn it.
Wait, using Charmander against Misty?
No, if you waste, I think the fastest I did it was in 45 minutes. I eventually found Pikachu in Viridian Forest, so I could just train Pikachu up against bug Pokemon and then whip Misty's ass without any effort.
Well, see, I was about to say, you don't want to use Charmander against Misty. She'll fuck you right up.
I did it once and won. But that's because I used all the bug Pokemon to wear down the others, and Starmie was almost dead. I'm like, hey, Charmeleon, use Metal Claw. Yeah, it'll work.
Yeah, but you didn't get it down to that point using Charmander.
Mitch says, I once fed the hand that bit me, but the circumstances were suspicious.
Wait, what?
I think somebody said something about biting the hand that feeds them.
Yeah, that was me. Tigers know not to bite the hand that feeds them.
He said, I once fed the hand that bit me, but its circumstances were suspicious.
Oh,
yeah, we know what was going on there.
I bet your Dom wasn't very happy.
Okay, look. I know y'all are trying to make that kinky, but I find difficulty with that one.
But sometimes brats bite.
No, I once fed the hand.
He's right. He's right. You know, sometimes brats do bite.
I sure hope so. Ficus is the best ambush predator. Xenomorph is the best ambush predator.
No. You know what the best ambush predator is? Honey badger, because the honey badger gives no fucks.
You know what the best ambush predator is? It's Tally. So
she's not wrong.
No.
You know what? Actually, zoo in South Africa, they actually had a honey badger, and it kept escaping, and they'd like tried to build this thing specifically so this honey badger couldn't escape. But oh no, it was pushing rocks up against the wall so it could climb over the wall and everything. They don't give a fuck. Highly intelligent animals, they will figure out how to get out of anything. So they thought maybe he's bored and lonely, so they got a female honey badger to go in this pen with him.
He killed her.
Oh no. They were standing on each other's backs to get out.
They were trying to get out together.
Oh yeah. One of them was like they were using the gate then, because at this point one of them could stand on the other one's back or shoulders and open the gate, and then they could just both wander out.
So basically what you're saying is honey badgers are just Kefki?
I was just going to say what they did to pacify him only made him stronger.
Yeah. In saying that, there have been situations where people have come home and honey badgers have somehow gotten into a house that was locked.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And
his
all
house
of the
now.
windows were closed and all that sort of thing. And they'll come home and they'll just be chilling out in the house, and there's nothing they can do about it because they're highly aggressive. So all they can do is just wait until he decides, I'm bored, and leave. That's
Maybe
all
I'm
you
a
can
honey
do.
badger.
Honey badgers, they're little fuckers, I'm telling you.
Maybe I'm a honey badger after all.
So pretty much the reason why Honey Badger was almost, or why Wolverine was almost named Honey Badger at one point in creation. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Well, Wolverines and honey badgers are slightly different, but yeah.
You always talk about the character.
Yeah, I know.
Honey Badgers are good at solving locked room mysteries. I would assume so.
Basically, if you're ever trapped in the movie Saw, just bring a honey badger because he's gonna find the way out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Fucking yeah. I'll tell you what. If you want to have a good laugh where you're like, wait, what? How? But it's so amusing. Watch honey badgers escaping their enclosures on YouTube. It's funny. It's great. They come up with like solutions that you're like, how did they even figure that out?
I like watching octopus do the same thing. It's like, surely this is a tiny ass crack. It can't fit through it. And all of a sudden, it's through it, scurrying across the floor. And you're like,
oh
what the fuck?
no! An octopus can get through anything that it can get its beak through. If it can get its beak through, it can get through, because that is the only solid part in its body.
It's like, and like, I think the first time I saw a video of one getting out and scurrying across the floor, I'm like, what in the Eldritch horror is this shit?
You know what? Octopuses, I think they're the closest thing we've got on Earth to actual aliens.
Octopi, by the way.
Whatever.
I like octopuses.
They've got 3 hearts. Their
Great
blood is
film.
blue, and their brain is shaped like a donut with a hole in the middle. And they're like their pipe, like food pipe, it goes through their brain before it goes to their stomach.
Well, a lot of them can also change colors to match their environment, and some of them can even glow in the dark. Would attract prey in the
the
depth.
color changing thing, yes, it is camouflage, but a lot of it is mood based.
Like, I think I saw a video of them putting one on a chessboard, and it actually mimicked the chessboard.
Oh yeah, they're pretty funky animals. They are crazy. They're so cool though. But if you pick up a blue-ringed octopus, you're a fucking idiot.
Well, if you go in the
Yeah.
sea,
A blue-ringed octopus has they're only like this big. They're tiny little things. They look so cute, but no, their venom is more deadly than cyanide. Do not pick up no, don't do it.
well,
If you do, you're crazy and stupid, and you deserve what you get.
on 9/11, there was a guy who milked snakes. He was trying to milk a taipan, which is one of the world's most deadly snakes, and it actually bit him. And the only flight that wasn't a military flight on 9/11 was from San Diego to Florida, where he was, to actually bring him the taipan antivenom, because it was only existed in the San Diego Zoo. And by the time it got there, he was already bleeding. He was sweating blood. It was coming out of his eyes, his gums, his ears, his nose.
It liquidizes your insides.
No, it liquidizes your blood essentially, so it pretty much just gushes out.
Your blood's already liquid. What it does is it liquidizes everything
Well,
else.
it thins it out so much. It's the opposite of like rattlesnake, for example. Rattlesnake makes it coagulate a lot, and it
Yeah.
pretty much eats everything.
Oh yeah. If you get a petri dish of blood and you put like rattlesnake venom on it, and then you move it around like that, eventually it'll get the consistency of jelly.
Yeah. this is really fucking morbid. If you have a weak stomach, don't do this. But if you Google rattlesnake bites, you'll see in hospitals of people's arms the size of their thighs where they had to cut their arm open and use thick red cord to stitch the skin together to relieve some of the pressure.
That is insane.
I did actually watch this thing. It was this guy on YouTube. He has a lot of snakes and he milks these snakes for anti-venom. And one of the snakes he's got is a black mamba. And he actually had a guy that was helping him with the black mamba milking. Now the issue with that is black mambas, they are very, very aggressive snakes. Very aggressive. They don't give a shit. If you are near them, you're going to get bitten. And they're fast as well. They are very fast, very aggressive, very nasty animals. And this guy, he got tagged. So it wasn't even a proper bite. But even that tag was enough venom was released to kill him.
Yeah. Also, Black Mamba was a great basketball player. R.I.P. Kobe Bryant.
Test.
What? Oh, sorry. I'll mute myself again.
It's okay.
I don't know why I have this fucking notebook. I've already read all I needed off of it.
So, Black Mamba milking sounds like a euphemism to me.
I can guess who made that comment.
No, you can't. I mean, you might be able to, but
Sounds like a race comment.
nope.
No. Color me impressed.
Oh, I had something else I was going to say. Somehow
It was Mitch the Ripper.
somehow we got off on Black Mamba milking from Charles Manson. So,
Oh, we can talk Jack the Ripper because that's a nice serial killer to discuss.
Oh, Jack the Ripper is a very interesting one. Let's do that.
Well, I can start with my favorite theory. My favorite theory is that Jack the Ripper was actually H.H. Holmes when he was in the UK.
Although that is a very good theory, it's not true. Because actually it was discovered it was quite a few years ago. It's probably about 15 years ago. It was actually discovered that the killings happened while a particular ship was in port in Whitechapel. And on this particular ship, there was a Polish ship hand. And he was actually caught in New York because he was doing exactly the same shit and he was executed. But the issue is no one actually figured out that he'd done it. No one actually put two and two together that he'd been doing the same in Whitechapel, because back then the two police things, they didn't talk to each other. So although he was executed for doing what he did in New York, he wasn't as far as the police was concerned, the one in Whitechapel, it was just even though it was exactly the same mode of killing and all that sort of thing. And they actually found out from ship logs that this ship, he was on the ship, he came into Whitechapel, the killing started. He then got on that ship and that ship left, went to New York, where the killing started again.
The problem with that is the killings in New York were very sloppy. It did not actually match the surgical precision of the killings in Whitechapel. That's the biggest issue with that particular theory.
See, the thing is, you say that they were surgical and precise. They really weren't.
Well, when he started removing body parts, he is someone with the ability and the medical know-how to actually know what the fuck they're doing in the first place. The actual killing itself, yes, was a little sloppy, again, because that was the person's clearly taking out rage and aggression.
He almost took one woman's head off. She was almost completely decapitated.
Well,
And
really-
the only reason he didn't then cut her open and start removing organs was because he was interrupted.
well, that happened once in Whitechapel as well.
I will be
And then
right
he
back.
killed
Yeah,
another
that was
woman
the
a
one.
couple
That
streets
was the
over.
one. That was the one in Whitechapel that I was talking about, darling.
I'll be right back.
And
guys.
then not okay, darling. And then not 10 minutes later, he went and killed another woman.
Holy fuck, that delay. The problem with that is the short amount of time he was in Whitechapel, he wouldn't have known the police rounds like the killer did that particular night because he went in the perfect direction to avoid them and then got behind them to make the kill. If I remember
Well,
correctly.
what happened was he was interrupted. And when the person that interrupted him, he made out that he was trying to help this woman. And he then sent this person to go get the police. And then he went down a back alley and slipped away. And then not 10 minutes later, he then found another target. And he was able to do that uninterrupted because not very far away, there was a massive thing going on with this woman that was almost decapitated.
Yeah, I think the dumbest one, the only one I look at and clearly go, no, that's stupid. That's not what fucking happened. Was that the Queen actually had people out there whacking all the prostitutes because some prince got a prostitute locked up?
Yeah, apparently, I think it was Prince Andrew or someone.
He had two
Apparently, apparently he impregnated a prostitute. So in order to prevent scandal, apparently the Queen sent out people to kill these prostitutes, and that's why they were taking uteruses.
It's so stupid.
Yeah, that is stupid.
Oh, this,
Yeah,
does-
like Kefki says, they weren't very surgical. It was more like a butcher than like a surgeon.
there is a precision to being a butcher, is kind of what I was alluding to.
Yeah, there is a precision to being a butcher, but it's not as precise as being a surgeon. So you can't really call it surgical precision because it's not.
Because I think I always use surgeon because a lot of the articles and shit you read, people are talking like, oh, the medical know-how and the surgical knowledge needed to remove these organs, when technically a butcher could do the same fucking thing.
Yeah, technically you could.
Or a hunter.
Yeah, basically anyone who's had any kind of training with like butchering meat, like you said, a hunter who knows how to prepare their own meat after they've killed it. So many people know how to do this shit. I know how to do this shit. Why? Because I've dealt with like gutting and cooking different small game.
Yeah, I mean,
I could do that shit. Would it be messy? Hell yes, it would be messy. But the point still stands. I could still do this. You do not need any kind of specialistic training to do this. Like just the fact that someone could go hunting with their dad as a kid and learn from there how to butcher their own meat. They could learn from that how to easily how to do what he did. You don't need any medical training at
Sorry, the neighbor dragon was out there like trying to eat the sun again. I had to tell him to knock it off.
Wait, what? What? You want to run that by me again?
I don't know if you guys are paying close enough attention, but the sun was just, I don't know if it was what was going on. Something kept blocking out. It was just like that thing would get dark and then light real quick. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on out there? Like something was hiding the sun. So I had to go out there and see it. Like I said, it was the neighbor dragon. He was trying to eat the sun again, and I tell him to knock it off. I'm in the middle of a live stream.
So Ryan's asking, were surgeons that precise back then?
Yes and no.
Yes and
well-
no. They were maybe just about a step or two above like the hunter or the butcher, but only.
Well, in saying that, they had to be very, very, very quick because they didn't have like anesthetics and like all of the medical know-how that we have now.
I mean,
So they had to do stuff very, very, very quick.
considering
Like there was one surgeon, I'm pretty sure we spoke about it on Minions of the Zoo. He could remove someone's leg in like 25 seconds.
30 seconds. He was known as the fastest knife in West End.
Honestly, back then, it was a situation of that was how they dealt with, severe trauma, infection, things like that. They just removed the limb because they didn't really know how to treat it and save the limb most of the time.
There are certain issues that you get even now. The only treatment is amputation, like gangrene.
But
If
a
you
lot
get
less
gangrene, if you get catch gangrene early on, you can treat it with antibiotics. However, if shit starts going black, you need to cut. Like, let's say my finger was black, just to like here. They couldn't just cut off to there. They would have to take off like a big chunk of my hand because they would have to like make sure they got it all.
There's a problem with what you both said. At this particular point in time, they didn't know germs and bacteria was a fucking thing.
Oh no, back in Victorian era, they did notice that, like, especially like when it came to like Florence Nightingale, the lady with the lamp. They actually noticed a massive decrease in repeat infections and people recovering a lot quicker just because of how clean she kept her hospital. So they started making it like common practice that everything had to be sterilized. Like they didn't understand it, but they knew if they were to put their instruments in boiling hot water before surgery, there was less likely to be an infection afterwards. They worked that out. They couldn't figure out why, but they knew that was a thing.
Well, Dr. Lister is the one who figured it out. The man whose name is on Listerine mouthwash. He was like, hey guys, there's these things we can't see called bacteria and germs. It causes all this shit we see. People are like, you're fucking crazy. You're stupid. I like how she muted herself, then started talking.
I thought I was on mute. I thought I was muted. It wasn't really like, he didn't really put it like that. What he did was he noticed that if he put his surgical instruments in boiling water, there was less likely to be infection. He didn't know why. He just knew this was a thing. As far as he was concerned, because of the time, he thought it was like God blessing it and it must have been holy water. That's what his mind linked it to.
Well, also, I'd like to point out also during this time, especially in the UK, they would have amputations and procedures and shit in theaters, and you could literally pay a few shillings to get a fucking ticket.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you could go and watch surgeries. In fact, one of these surgeries that was open to the public had a 300% death rate.
You watched the Joe Rogan episode with the medical historian.
No. I actually was in the Minions of the Zoo when this came up.
Because that person watched this podcast, because that's the exact same wording that lady used.
Was it? Oh well, I don't know. But anyway, the guy who he amputated the limb of died. His assistant died, and a bystander died. Now, the guy who had his leg amputated or something like that, he died because it was quite a lot of people died back then during surgery. And then he accidentally cut the hand or something of the guy that was assisting him, and he died from blood poisoning. And then when he was turning around to put the instrument down to grab the next instrument, he accidentally brushed against someone that was watching. And this guy, he didn't actually get cut, but all he saw was there was a red gash on like his coat, and it looked like it. He didn't know it wasn't his blood, and he died of shock. He essentially had a heart attack and died because he thought he'd been cut.
That's crazy.
He died of fright.
Yeah, he did. He died of fright.
And by the way, the episode's JRE 1272 with Lindsay Fitzharris.
You know, it doesn't necessarily mean that the person watched it, because I'm pretty sure, I'm about 85% sure the person telling that story was Sanguine, and I don't think he gets his information from JRE at all.
The woman also wrote a book. And you remember that night where I was creeping you all out with creepy medical shit?
Mm-hmm.
That's from that woman's YouTube channel. She's literally a medical historian. It's her job.
So I swear Tyler was going to say a lot of people died back then during sex. They did.
I mean, if you want to get the mass knowledge of basic medical know-how at the time, watch the movie Horse Soldiers, Civil War film. They have to amputate one of the guy's legs, and they literally go, "Here, drink this whiskey." Made him bite on a fucking piece of wood, poured on his leg, and then went at it with a hacksaw.
Well, they didn't necessarily go at it with a hacksaw. Like they would just like but they did have to get it off as quickly as possible. And then they just get something very, very hot and press it up against the open wound to sear it.
Cauterize it.
Yeah. Basically. I was thinking something else and I can't think what it was. Fuck, it's gone. Can't remember.
But to get back to Jack the Ripper, we're never going to know. It's just fun to fuck around and hypothesize. It's the same as the Zodiac. No one's really ever going to know.
Mm-hmm. Can't wait for the Zodiac to come back and start murdering people again.
Well,
I'm kidding.
Well, as far as we know, he's already dead. He died of a heart attack or anything.
No. He's currently in the Senate. His name is Ted Cruz.
So, on that note, ladies and gentlemen in the chat, if any of you have any questions, any other comments you'd like to offer up about anything we've talked about today, please do so now. Excuse me.
Oh,
we are about to wrap up here soon.
I remember what it was that I was thinking. Like, you know how back in the day, childbirth was a lot more dangerous than it is now? Well, the first thing that was invented was during the Middle Ages, like medieval times. That was when the ventouse, the like clamp things to pull the baby out. That's when they were invented during the Middle Ages. During the Victorian era, if a baby got stuck and the ventouse weren't working, is it the ventouse or is that the name of the suction cup? I don't know. If they couldn't pull the baby out with the clamps, they would have to like cut off a bit of the pelvis of the woman that was in labor. Now, they had to do this very, 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 very quickly. And it was a very slow process to do it with a handsaw. So the first ever chainsaw was invented, and it was only a little tiny thing, and it was originally used to assist during childbirth.
No.
That is actually a thing.
That's
what the chainsaw was originally invented for.
No.
The worst one to me is a toss-up. If a woman had breast cancer or what they thought might be something like that, they would just lop the entire tit off. That's not the worst one, Eve. This one's going to hurt you, me, and most people in the chat. The way they removed kidney stones was to cut open your penis and forcibly remove it.
No.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that made me cringe.
And keep in mind, all this is happening
while you're away.
Ladies and gentlemen of the world, this is not okay. Do not do this.
Aren't you glad medical science has come so far in the past 200 years?
Jesus Christ, I am so glad to live in the 21st century.
I mean, it's not worse that it's like if that's happening, but you're wide awake with no medication, and there's an entire theater full of people watching you.
You will be drugged up on heroin
or opium.
Opium is heroin, darling. You'll be drugged up on you'll be drugged up on heroin or cocaine or something like that. You know what? If you think about it, we really haven't come very far when it comes to medical science, because there was a time when it's like, oh, your blood is haunted by ghosts. Here, take cocaine. Now it's like, oh, you've got ADHD. You've basically got autism light, and the only cure is microdoses of methamphetamine.
Get your dick out. Come on, let's go.
All right, so here's kicked off YouTube.
Let's get that kidney stone.
Actually, I've never had it.
I've never had a kidney stone.
Me neither.
I don't even have a penis.
What? You lied to me?
That's a lie. I have got a rubber one. If you want to try that, please don't. I like that toy. I'm going to stop now.
So, folks, I'm going to address some of the statements in chat. Mitch says the Zodiac was Hillary Clinton. Fair enough.
Well, it's better guess than anything else.
Ray says, when will Tally admit that she is Jack the Ripper?
Yes, because I am so old enough to be Jack the Ripper. Don't you know I'm a vampire?
Well, you said you knew how to do it, so.
Well, yeah.
And we already figured this out last week. You're a vampire because I bit you, so.
Yeah, but that totally means I'm like 250 years old, and I totally could have done that.
Yeah. I think it's feasible that Jack the Ripper was a vampire. Mitch says, what a cute little knife. Hey, I'll have you know.
It's a knife if I've ever seen one.
I like my pretty rainbow knife.
I like your pretty rainbow knife.
I'm glad someone does.
How long is that blade?
About this long.
Yeah, how
3 inches or so, if that much.
Yeah, about. Let's see. Yeah, 3 inches.
I would be able to carry that in the UK legally.
Nice.
Well, that length, it's not classified as a weapon. At that length, it's classified as a utility knife.
That's exactly
so it's a tool.
It was an $8.
So legally, you can carry a knife like that around in the UK.
I don't like folder knives. I prefer fixed blades.
I mean, you can literally you can only carry it between like work and home. You can't really like take it to the pub or anything like that, but you still can. And what is Mitch talking about me wearing what as a hat?
Well, I did talk about popping a tit off if you had a lump in the Victorian.
No. I think he was talking about the dildo.
Well, it does have a suction cup. If I wanted to, I could have it as a unicorn horn.
Well, you do claim to be rather majestic.
Tally's a mermaid, not a unicorn. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that.
I knew something smelled fishy.
In saying that, you know how over in America you've got these pure romance parties?
No. What the fuck are you talking about?
Well, here in the UK we have something similar. They're called Ann Summers parties, but the difference is Ann Summers is like actually a legitimate like business. They actually have shops. But you can have parties. And I went to one of these parties and they were passing around like the toys and all that sort of thing. And they handed a butt plug out that was like this big and it was purple and it looked like a unicorn horn and it had a suction cup on it. So my smart ass, in all of my drunken wisdom, went, I'm a unicorn. I then pulled it off and I had a perfect little circled bruise right between my eyes for like a week.
Good job.
Yeah, that it was fun to explain what that was.
I bet it was. Just say you hit your head on the banister or something. I don't fucking know anything but except for actually what it is.
Yeah, it was perfectly
But
perfect circle bruise right in the middle of my
I bet-
forehead.
Yes, told everybody exactly what had actually had happened. Yeah.
I was never more happy about like makeup than I was at that moment. Foundation was my best friend that week.
Oh, so I told Kefki I would briefly talk about my theory on the Zodiac Killer.
Mitch has a point. Jack the Ripper couldn't have been a vampire because vampires never would have wasted that amount of blood.
Well, he tried to take some to write a letter to the press in blood. It just dried up before he could use it.
Yeah.
But like, basically, one of the original suspects for the Zodiac Killer actually died of cancer. And they're like, that's why they thought maybe there might be a second killer or a copycat. So my idea was, since their body types between sightings are so different, is maybe he actually got sick with cancer in between killings, and that's why one time it's a husky man, the next time it's a real thin man, and the killing stopped once he died or was too ill to actually continue.
That is a very good possibility. Yeah.
Yeah, and if it was two people, it's easy to be like, well, it wasn't me. I was over here with my family.
In saying that,
let the other guy
there
do
were people that were like, it was a sailor. And then there were other people like wearing a sailor's uniform. And there was other people who was like, well, he was dressed like a gentleman with a long coat and a top hat. And then another person was like, no, he was dressed like a scraggly, like sailor, like on a merchant ship with like one of those flat peak caps and all of that sort of thing that they wore back in the day, and looked quite shaggy and dirty.
Well,
several people saw him and saw different things, so it's possible that he was wearing disguises.
Or it's just possible that the human mind doesn't know what the fuck it's actually trying to recall, which is why in American court systems, witness testimony based off memory means absolutely fucking nothing.
Well, not nothing, but it's circumstantial at best.
It's practically nothing because with the smallest hint, your recollection can completely change.
Like I said, it's circumstantial at best.
Humans are very susceptible to suggestion. Yes, the mind is not a perfect thing.
It's a clusterfuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Sailor Murdery, Sailor Murdery, the lesser known Sailor Scout.
I saw that joke. I was waiting for it.
Mitch says that was.
Hey,
Mitch,
I love Sailor Moon. I've actually got the complete DVD seasons 1 to 7 and 3 movies.
Mitch says, I was waiting for Tally to admit she was smuggling butt plugs. I am disappointed. I just said, well, she has to admit that. I thought that was public knowledge.
Well, she does have a trunk full of
Hey! No!
Also,
Bad.
Tally, I need you to go on your phone and check your Discord DM. I just sent you something you might be interested in.
Oh, no.
I'm scared.
You should be.
Kefki says, Peter Steele is my vampire daddy, the best vampire ever.
That is really pretty. I kind of want one.
It's a unicorn butt plug, isn't it?
Nope.
No.
Is it a mermaid butt plug?
No.
Is it a butt plug?
No.
No.
Is it a sex toy?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll send them to you too. I don't care.
I'll look at it later.
It's pretty. I kind of want one.
Anywho.
Just because of how pretty it is.
Anywho. So. Oh, you better have a portal license for those butt plugs.
What? Why?
Well, because you need a license for everything over there, Tally. You live there.
Yeah.
You know that.
Yeah, you do. Oh, you got a license for that spoon?
Yep.
You got a license for that spoon?
You got a license. Anywho. I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap up here. Because, girl, stop. Hang on a second.
Quick, while she's gone, let's start discussing cults and blood cults because those are fun.
Ooh,
Sorry about
kinky.
that. Well, we've only got a few minutes left. Unless y'all want to get just really deep into something else.
I mean, we can.
I
We all
mean,
know-
we've still got like 5 minutes.
Go ahead.
Okay, so one quick brief thing that I can't sum up in 5 minutes is differences between male and female serial killers. What I have noticed, specifically in Europe and Asia, female serial killers tended to be nurses, predominantly with small children and old folk. Because there are several
And
Japanese.
they tend to use poison.
There's several Japanese nurses who actually have body counts in the 6 to 7. And I think one lady had 841 murder charges, all infants that she killed as a nurse.
Yeah, there was one of those here in the UK. In fact, she's still living out her sentence in a mental institute, this one nurse, because she killed a stupid number. I think officially she only actually killed like 8 kids. However, she did things that could have killed more than 100 kids. Grievous bodily harm. And the reason she was doing this was because she had Munchausen by proxy. And she liked the attention she got when she would inject these kids with like let's say she would inject one with insulin so that they wouldn't have enough sugar in their body and they would start to shut down. She would then come in, and after raising the alarm about this kid's like having a seizure because it doesn't have enough sugar, they'd be trying to do all sorts of things, and then she would come in and just inject it with the glucose that is needed. And
She wanted to play the hero.
That's fairly
basically,
common.
yeah. And she did that over and over and over again, and she killed like 8 kids, like infants, like kids that had nothing wrong with them. They'd just been born, they'd been looked over, perfectly healthy. Suddenly, they would start going into cardiac arrest or start having seizures and all this sort of thing. She killed, she actually killed one of a set of twins because she was the one to do the check before they went home, and she actually injected this kid with something before it was sent home with the parents, and she wasn't quick enough to actually undo what she had done, and this newborn twin died.
Well, I know one of the Japanese nurses was bitter because she was barren and couldn't have kids, and was basically like, "Hey, none of you should have kids then." So she whacked with a couple hundred of them.
If I can't have them, no one can.
Another one had a miscarriage and basically was just whacking other people's kids, so they felt the pain that she would, and think she was the one that killed 841 babies.
Christ.
And then here in the UK, you've got people like, oh fuck, what's her name? She was like, she was like a carrier of a disease, but she didn't actually get affected by it. And she worked as a chef or a cook in this household. And because she was just dirty, like she would scratch her ass and all that sort of thing while and like put her fingers in their food while she was cooking and all that sort of thing. She would pass it on. And typhoid something.
Mary?
Yeah, her. And she killed like 8 people because she didn't actually know she had typhoid, but she was giving it to all these people. So because she didn't know she had it, they couldn't like charge her with actually killing people because it was completely by accident. She did, however, have to spend the rest of her life living in a hospital.
Well, something similar quickly. The old school wrestler Abdullah the Butcher knew he had hepatitis C and still would blade himself and make other people bleed and actually infected several people with Hep C knowingly.
Mm-hmm.
To the point some of them died, some of them had to have entire liver transplants to actually get over it. So it is relatively similar.
Well, you saw the thing about the guy in California recently.
The difference between that guy and Typhoid Mary was that guy was doing it on purpose. Typhoid Mary, she was a carrier of typhoid, but she didn't know.
Well, so that's the thing is that, we talk about it being, when you talk about it being intentional infections, we had a case in California about a year or two ago now, where the guy he was a gay man who knew he had HIV, knew he had AIDS, and was going around and meeting up with men on Grindr and intentionally giving them intentionally giving it to them, and then bragging about it afterwards. And then they turned around and decided they were going to change the laws in California so that that's not a felony. That's just a misdemeanor.
It should be considered the same way as giving someone a tattoo in prison. Sometimes can be marked up to a murder charge, especially if the person has hepatitis C or something, or HIV.
Right.
Well, the whole point of having it as a felony is because you are potentially killing someone when you do this sort of thing. And California, oh my God, I really hope the San Andreas fault line goes, because LA needs to be like gone. It just needs to fucking disappear.
There are a few people I'd like to pluck out of that state.
The only people that are okay with that shit happening are the people within LA.
That's not true, because you also have San Francisco.
Well, yeah. All right, the southern cities. The only people that are okay with this shit are the people in the southern cities.
Look, I'm okay with just going to the state border and taking some pickaxes and just kind of breaking it off into the ocean. That's fine.
But we have to do Florida too.
Yeah, if we're gonna do that, we might as well do Florida while we're at it.
Just pluck Yolander and a couple others and chop it off.
I would say we should do New York, but it's a little too stuck in there. It's kind of an ingrown tumor now.
If you're gonna do that, don't worry about doing all of Florida. Just Orlando, please. Just
no, because Orlando is the home of Trivium. They're one of my favorite bands. Fuck you for that.
But it's Orlando.
Stop us! It's fashionably late party crash, bitch. Well, we're ending right now, so bye, Ms. Doffin. I'm just kidding.
Notice he shows up when I say his name.
Yeah, we just said your name and you show up.
He's like Beetlejuice.
Yeah, it is.
San Francisco is already drowning in a river of shit. Well,
not wrong.
Yeah,
they are. Well, it's a river of needles and shit.
And apparently, random hobo knife fights in the middle of the street.
Somebody saying knife fights. Hang on, I got a knife to bring.
I'm not turning on my camera, nor am I digging out a bunch of knives. I have one.
You think this one will work?
Yeah.
I think this would be a good knife to bring.
No, because I do not want anything attached to my arm that I can't, leave in a human body.
I don't want to leave this in anybody.
If it gets stuck and you're still have another active combatant, you're gonna want to leave that in someone.
That's why I take the other one and cut it free.
Or you could just stand on them and yank it out. In saying that looks like quite a nice blade that could easily go in and out.
It's her blood range.
That's what she said. Got a nice blade that could easily go in and out of you.
I bet you do.
Promises.
Anyway. Did y'all have anything else you wanted to tackle or?
Zerker.
I mean, I could go on for another hour if you'd let me. Shit.
No, we're not going for another
we
hour.
are not going for another hour. We are not doing that.
I think we're going to call it here, kids. We can continue the discussion later. So can we just yeet California into the sun already and call it a day? Yeah. Like I said, you can select a few people from that state. And
again, the northern part of the state is not too bad. Like where the vineyards are, that's not too bad. It's just like the southern part of the state.
Yeah. Anywho, kids, that is going to do it for us today. If you like the contributions of our guest, Mr. Berserker, his Twitch channel is linked in the description below. I don't know what his streaming schedule is like, pretty much just whenever the fuck he feels like it, but go over there and give him a follow and check out his stuff. He plays a lot of Call of Duty lately. So, as far as myself and Miss Talita, I think we're going to probably be hanging out in Discord afterwards.
Yeah.
So people can come in and
I need to pee first and then we will.
well, obviously we take, because was it last week we took like 15, 20 minutes a piece because we both had to go peel out of our outfits. And then when we wore corsets, oh Lord.
In saying that, well, my corset I wore last week, it had a zip, so it was quite easy to get out of.
Oh, you mean the one that you kept having to do this with the entire stream?
Yes, the one that I
Yeah.
needed the tit tape for, and I found it.
Uh-huh.
Over the
But
shoulder, boulder holder.
Yeah. Yes, over shoulder boulder holder. But
There is one more
yeah,
thing.
it has a
before we
zip
go
down the side, so it's quite easy to get out of.
that there's one more thing that was kind of a stream tradition that I need to do. So hang on just a second. All right. Okay. We couldn't let the stream go without letting that happen. So thank you so much everyone for coming out and hanging out with us. Thank you to Berserker for being on with us. And yeah, we will see you guys in Discord afterwards. If you aren't in our Discord already, there's a link down in the description below. Hit that little
What are you doing with your life if you're not?
What are
You
you
can't be
doing?
here and not be in our Discord.
Exactly. So come over and hang out with us. We'll be chilling in voice chat and probably have cameras on because Callie and I like being looked at. So
Imagine my shot.
You know what? With how long it takes this to happen, yes.
girl, what you said? Anywho, we'll see you guys over there if you're gonna come over. If not, we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.